Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user I'm sick of video games. My boyfriend, 30 male of 3 years, has a problem with video games, and I, 27 female, need guidance. So, my significant other and I have been together for 3 years. Our relationship this far has been decent, with no major downs, and any arguments we have are absolutely manageable. My boyfriend has a history of addiction to drugs, alcohol, and gambling. He has been clean of all these activities for 8 years. I'm well aware that cross-addiction exists, and he has to drink coffee every morning and can't shake cigarettes. But one bad habit at a time, right? I, on the other hand, have not experienced addiction. When I looked at my budget and saw I smoked too much weed, I cut it out immediately. I've done the same with other activities that are either a strain time-wise or financially, like getting a daily coffee or watching TV for more than 3 hours at a time. So I'm trying very hard to not be an armchair doctor or therapist, but right now, I'm really annoyed. My significant other has to play video games at least once or twice every hour or so. He has mobile games downloaded onto his phone and iPad that he can play for hours on end. When he gets home from work, our time together has slowly shifted from talking and doing activities together to me pulling him away from his iPad to just talk to me while I cook dinner. He grew up in a very strict household where he had to sneak his video game until age 16, while I grew up in Catholic heaven, where if we wanted to play GTA, we had to write an essay about the moral shortcomings of the character and agree to not play more than 2 hours at a time and no violent games on Sunday. So it's not like I hate video games, I just feel like after a couple of hours or so that I need to do other things with my day. I don't expect the same for him, but I can't handle video games all the time. It started with him telling me that he was exhausted from work and needed to decompress. He works in a high-stress environment, and I didn't see anything wrong with decompressing. It then turned into him constantly begging me to play video games. We started playing a certain game 3 weeks ago. I was out of town this weekend, and when I came back, I was really disappointed with the state our home was in. Bed not made, dishes not done, trash not taken out. But damn it, he managed to play over 14 hours a day on our Xbox. I wake up early, 6 a.m., and roll over to him playing video games already. I fell asleep last night before he did and woke up around midnight to him playing video games again. He's in a carpool and plays video games the hour drive to and from work, then comes home and plays video games for at least a minimum of 4 hours. Apparently, he is now sneaking video game time during the night as well. I've been trying to determine whether or not this is video game addiction or not. He's not spending all our money on them, just all his time. I've told him that I don't like playing video games for very long and that his constant use bothers me. He seems to understand what I'm saying and then go right back to it or become a little more sneaky. So I guess to sum up, does this sound like video game addiction? I'm sorry because I just kind of word vomited everything in hopes of better illustrating my situation. I know that if this is an addiction, I can't help completely and that he needs to want to change. But is there anything I can do to remove any enabling or help? To be frank, I've worked hard to not enable it. I've told him his usage bothers me and that there are appropriate times to play, but it seems to go in and out. It doesn't help that a lot of his friends also encourage constant video game use, as they too can spend days gaming. Like, have weekend sleepovers to all play League over and over and over. I'm looking for an outsider's perspective because I don't use video games that often. I like them and have some of my own favorites, but I don't understand playing so long every night that you only sleep 3 hours before going to work. Well, OP, in my vast ignorance from everything that you say, it does sound like an addiction. I mean, change video games for any other sort of addictive thing, like let's even say smut, which, it's not something that you would consume like drugs or anything, but still addictive, And yeah, it kind of sounds like the same thing. It's taking time away from the relationship, taking time away from spending it with you, taking time away from his sleep, using most of his free time in order to be able to focus on this. And I don't know if he does it at work or not, but yeah, it does sound like an addiction. And you're absolutely right. There is nothing you can do to change it unless he actually wants to. So maybe that's what you need to try to trigger. Now, the thing about video games is that it gives you a sense of achievement once you complete a stage or something else. That's why gamification on websites or businesses is such a big thing. So I'd suggest maybe try to make a positive trade-off to kind of weed him out of the video games. Like activities that you could do together that would also help him with this sense of accomplishment. Now, I know this sounds like switching one addiction for another, but one is video games and the others are different couple activities that he would enjoy doing after all, right? So maybe this, plus the help of a professional once he admits that he needs the help, could get him to a healthier place. But again, like I said in the beginning, this commentary comes from my ignorance regarding the topic, just what I would do in your case. What about you guys? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes, or what kind of advice would you give her? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Generic Dreadhead says, yes, he's addicted. I'm a hardcore gamer, 30 plus hours a week, and he's got a strong reek of the behavioral addiction symptoms. Games, like gambling, etc., are behavior addiction, not a physical one. You need to do a few things. Firstly, you need to properly sit him down and talk to him properly about this. Just telling him that his usage bothers you and there are appropriate times to play is not direct, strong, and clear enough. It's time to address the fallout it's having on your relationship, how it's making you really feel, and what the consequences of his actions are. Finally, if all else fails, you can give him an ultimatum, me or the machine. If you want more advice, feel free to PM me. Additionally, this commenter gave OP a couple of links that could help her. And OP responds, this is very helpful, thank you. If I had read those other threads, maybe I wouldn't have posted, but thank you for your links and advice. They are very helpful. I've been very nervous about being too strong about this, because I didn't want to come across as diagnosing him or something. Thank you. I'll probably end up PMing you sometime soon. Thank you. Optimus Prime Time 21 says, why does it bother you that he plays when you go to sleep? Not trying to be a jerk, but my fiancée has similar issues to my gaming time, so I reserved my time to playing when she's at work or at the store or sleeping, as she goes to sleep earlier than I do. And OP responds, it would be one thing if I crashed around 8 or 9, but I sleep around 11, so he's playing from 11:30 to 2 in the morning, then getting up for a very high-stress job in 3 hours. He plays in bed next to me and doesn't go to other rooms. This is not after him not playing a day. If he doesn't play video games all day and reserved this time to do so, I'd be more understanding. However, this is after playing an hour before work, at least cumulatively an hour to an hour and a half while at work, to an hour on the drive home, to playing 3 or 4 hours while at home. The Silent Forest says, consider this. There is a possibility that your boyfriend is using video games as a stopgap to prevent himself from falling back into his other, much more dangerous vices. I'd have a talk with him first if that is the case, and if there's anything you can do to help him de-stress in a way where his stopgap vice doesn't overtake him completely, else you're gonna have a failed relationship soon. And OP responds, I've thought about that. I think it might be part of his cross addiction, but with my lack of knowledge, I'm not quick to jump to conclusions. I'll definitely be working out a way for us to minimize screen times. If it doesn't work out, then I suppose we won't. Additional information from OP's comments. His video game playing is not yet negatively affecting other aspects of his life, but I can see it happening quickly. Coming home after a weekend was kind of a shock. His use has been steadily increasing, so things like quality time have been dropping unless I join in playing video games longer than I feel comfortable with. I guess maybe I was just the first thing to be neglected. Anyway, since we haven't set or spoken about hard boundaries yet, I can't say he is mentally, emotionally, physically unable to stop playing. I've told him I don't like it, or I ask him to stop playing so he can help me cook or so we can go out to an appointment. Setting hard boundaries is on the agenda now. It's a vicious cycle. Work stresses him, so he plays. He stays up late playing, so he's tired the following day. He plays video games on the way to work, so he's calm and ready for the day. He plays during the workday so he can enjoy a mind-numbing 15-minute break. He gets home from work and plays. It just sucks because he truly is such a wonderful person. Truly, one of the most kind-hearted people I've ever met, and with this increased playing, I see less of that. And even though I love him to bits, one thing I won't do is stick around to live like this for very long. I hope it doesn't come to that, but I do need to prepare regardless. A lot of people are mentioning anxiety and depression. I feel terrible if this is true because I just haven't noticed the other signs if he is. Aside from this, he's wonderful. If I can tear him away from his electronics for an hour or two, I see the person I love. But someone with all the other responsibilities he has shouldn't be playing video games the amount of time he is unless something is off. Now, I've read about how some video games are made to be addictive and seen all the studies. I've tried to softly bring this up to him because I've noticed the game he plays offer constant rewards for time invested into the game. My concern is that because he's into all platforms that it may just be a wash for me to try and help while sticking around. He plays anything. It goes from League of Legends, World of Warcraft, to knockoff World of Warcraft on his iPad, to Fallout, to basically dinky mobile apps. Also, when we see some of his friends, within 15 minutes they ask what games we've been playing. He kinda hangs his head and says that he's been playing, but that we've been working on beating the same game for the past 3 weeks. Then his friends oddly get super judgy of me and say that gaming just isn't for everyone. Anyway, my current plan of action is to ask him why he likes to play so much and discuss it. Then ask him to pick other activities we can do throughout the week that can take up an hour or 2 hours per night, taking away screen time. If the compromises don't work and he doesn't want to improve, then I have my answer. It's sad that very obviously things are not okay. I plan on talking to him tonight after this post and giving him a month or so to see if things improve or not. I think I let things go on for so long because I was afraid of diagnosing him or even misreading things because of my experience with video games. Actually, gaming used to be something that I enjoyed doing with him. I loved co-oping, but now it seems that anytime we game it's not enough. He has to beg me to play again or has already spent his day gaming. It used to be something fun for us to do and now it just feels like a chore. I don't think an ultimatum is where I'll go because of his addictive personality. I was thinking of making compromises and working on minimizing his screen time slowly. I'll also ask him to maybe try out therapy. Alright, well it sounds like the community had some advice and some questions for OP to think about. Now the good thing is that OP knows that if nothing's gonna work out, she's not sticking around. So that's a positive. I think OP is making the right decision on that one. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. So I want to quickly thank everyone who shared all of their personal gaming stories with me, as well as some interesting debates as to what level of gaming is considered an addiction. Also, sweet shout out to whoever decided to PM me and say that this was all my fault for making my boyfriend want to escape reality and play video games so much. I hope Jesus finds you before Chuck Norris does. Sorry, my sick burns still derive from middle school. So on to the update. After submitting the post, I read through a lot of material on how to quell gaming addictions and help me explain my boundaries without forcing an ultimatum on my significant other. So a day after, I went out and bought books from a second-hand store. I tried to get 2 copies of each. I went on Groupon and signed up for a ton of couples courses. Fitness, painting, anything. I also cleaned out our refrigerator of a lot of ready-to-eat meals and snacks and purchased a lot of food that requires some prep ranging from 5 minutes to 30. When he got home that night, I cleared off our kitchen table and asked him if he'd sit with me. No electronics. We had a pad of paper between us and I asked him if he'd write out how much time on average he spends on certain activities during the week or weekend. Work was 40 to 45 hours, carpool was about 8 hours, weekday gaming 36 hours, 1 hour before work, at least 2 hours cumulated at work, an hour on the way home from work, and an average of 5 hours once home into the night. Miscellaneous activities an hour, chores and household or grocery shopping. Weekend numbers for gaming were more or less the same, fluctuating between 40 to 45, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I asked him to count quality time between us for the week, as in minimal electronics, cooking together, coffee dates, hiking, dog walking, engaging conversations, and sex. It totaled to roughly 5 hours a whole week, including weekends. I then asked him to rank important aspects of his life. They could be in a more important first manner, or just, here are 10 things that are equally important to me. I was the third thing written on that list. His family and security, financial, home, auto, are all rolled into that, were the first things he thought of, but I'm okay with that. I'd rank my family first too until we are together a lot longer or married. Our dog, traveling, learning, and health also made the list. Then I showed him the list versus how he spends his time. So I asked him to compare the list of things he thought were important to how he spends his time. And that's when the tears started. He asked me if this was my way of saying the relationship was over, and I told him no, but I need attention too. Living with your significant other seems like an easy way to spend quality time, and I suppose it can be, but it doesn't mean you should stop dating. I asked him if there was any reason his video gaming had been increasing, as 5 months ago he didn't play this much. He said that it started as him being a little depressed about our finances, his job being so high-strung, and not being able to go out as much as he wanted because of the finances. Traveling, expensive sushi, what have you. He also felt pressure from some of his friends to play more, as this was all they did. We talked about my gaming and how he would like for me to play more, but recognizes that the fun is taken out of it if he begs me to play every day, and that is a majority of what he talks about. In the end, the gaming just became a weird solace for him. At first, he used it to escape his financial fear, but later it just became a safe space that he was used to. He described it as going to your grandma when you're upset with your parents, only to really recognize how much you love being in her home and how she comforts you. So we made a plan. I made it clear that I don't want to feel neglected in a relationship for any reason, and that I like video gaming with him, but I need more stimulation from him than quality time via co-op mode. I brought out the books I bought and showed him the Groupons I found, and we reworked our weekly schedule so that during those free hours, he has other activities to try that I'll be doing too. We didn't completely cut out his gaming time, but we made set amounts per day. Carpool, play all you want, or read. At work, minimize it as much as possible by reading or working on work-related activities, so a promotion and raise are in sight to help quell financial freakout nerves. At home, activities as much as possible with the promise that Sunday we play video games together for around 5 hours, schedule permitting. So far, there's been one hiccup, not major. He told me immediately that he overplayed and would be deleting his apps to get rid of the temptation. He's trying some therapy to help cope, and though it's early, I think he really is working hard to make things better. He cooks with me and a lot more in general. We play card games, we have our own read at your own pace book club. We read a book a week at this point, on to book 4 soon. And through our activities, stay as busy as possible. On our gaming days, we make pizza together and make snacks and get ready to destroy on co-op mode. He likes being able to do co-op more than gaming alone and says that having a big day for the two of us makes not playing as much during the week worth it. I'm cautiously optimistic at this point. It's great that he's throwing himself so heavily into everything else, but moderation is still key. We are definitely utilizing dopamine as our natural release from stress. When he stresses out, I encourage him to go to the gym with me for just 20 minutes or walk the dog for 20 minutes. It's been working thus far. His sleep has improved drastically and he is no longer sleeping for 2 to 3 hours at night. He keeps his 2 lists with him now. He folds and puts them into the lunchbox he takes to work. I think it's great that he was totally receptive. I love him very much. I wanted for him to know I do, but that I love him enough to walk away before our love is strained. Honestly, I was prepared for the worst and having to walk away, so I'm very lucky to have a boyfriend who is thus far willing to recognize that this is a serious issue for me and wants to work on it for us. Thank you all very much again for your help and ideas. Wow, OP, I love this. It's awesome. I love it because it's working out for you guys and because it's a plan. I just love plans. Well thought out plans like the ones you made. So congratulations and all the best to the both of you in the future. Take care and thank you for sharing, OP. Now, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user Caleb is lame. Friend brings in dad's ashes because teacher demands to meet with his father. So, my friend Talon's dad died about 5 years ago. They got him cremated, so Talon has an urn with his dad's ashes in it. One of our teachers was mad at Talon about something, I'm not sure what, but the teacher demanded to meet Talon's father. he tried multiple times to tell our teacher that his dad was in fact dead, but Mr. McCoont wouldn't listen to him. So the next day, Talon shows up at school with his dad's urn and plops it on the teacher's desks and says, "You wanted to meet my dad, so here." I have never seen a teacher so mortified in my life. Opie's edit. It's not that Mr. McCoont didn't believe him, it's that he didn't give the kid an opportunity to explain. He just kept interrupting and sent him out. Woof, that's a harsh lesson to learn, Mr. McCoont. Well deserved though. Thanks for sharing, Opie. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.